Hello and welcome to Queer Abbey, a weekly chat show that is performed, recorded, and produced by yours truly. Yeah. Hi everybody. Welcome to the 30th episode of Queer Abbey. Last week, I was a little confused. I said it was the 30th episode, but it was the 29th, actually. So, yeah. Anyway, it's the 30th episode. Yay! Now, I'm going to start off with one thing. I'm just going to vent a little bit. Let me forewarn ya. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I have a package thief in my midst. I live in a student apartment complex, meaning that you have to be a student and like submit documentation for that to sign a lease here. So we're all like college students. There's probably, 20 people that live in this complex. Maybe even less than that. It's not huge. And one of these motherfuckers keeps stealing my packages. And I know it's happening to other people too because, so we have like these locked gates that are in front of the actual like alcoves where the apartment doors are. And behind one of those locked gates is the little mail area where there's the mailboxes. That's where the majority of the packages get left, behind a locked gate. And only the tenants and maintenance people have keys to those gates, not even the delivery people. Sometimes packages from third-party delivery services get left outside of those gates because the USPS is the only like delivery service that can get in there. So anyway, I had 3 packages stolen. I was trying to purchase Christmas gifts and then like perfume for myself and then coffee cups, like just random stuff. And all of that shit got stolen because it was delivered while I was at work, right? You know, you can't control the time that it gets delivered. So I was working and like these things get delivered and I come home and they're not there. So I'm like, what the hell? Somebody stole it. And I assumed that it was like a more transient type person walking by that would have stolen these packages because like I explained, they could have been left outside of the gate. So I just kind of accepted the loss the first couple times. Okay, but then I try to order this perfume again that got stolen and it gets delivered by USPS behind this locked gate. They take a picture. It was set on top of my mailbox. And someone fucking stole that too. So that means that it has to be one of the people that lives here. And I swear to God, I am so angry. I start to get a little delulu when I'm really mad. And I'm like, what? Can I put a curse on them? Like, what even can I do about this? It's so hard to fathom injustice sometimes. Like when bad things happen to you, you're just like, what? What do I do? Until eventually that seething anger sort of burns up and quells down, and then you're left with the reality that there's really nothing you can do. Unfortunately, I can't get... I'm out like $200 something because of ordering this perfume and cups and all of this stuff and it getting stolen. It's so fucking annoying. So anyway, I hope this person really needed fucking vanilla sandalwood perfume really bad. And I hope they smell great. And I swear to God, if I'm walking by one of the people that lives here and they smell like that perfume, I will grab them by the hair. I will say, hey, you, get your ass over here. Okay, but in my phantasmical reality, I did think of a consequence or something that I could do. And it's based off of this Greek, not even myth, it's like a historical event that was recorded in like a mythological way. Long story short, what I want to do is fill a box with spiders and put a shipping label on it. Spiders or like, I don't know, farts or something unpleasant. I don't know, put a snake in there, a black adder, something really awful, put it in a box and put a shipping label on it and set it on my mailbox and wait for them to open it because then maybe they would learn the lesson that they shouldn't fucking open people's packages because it's a felony and also it's really fucked up because it's buying presents for people and I can't afford to replace them. Okay, that was my rant. That's why I was pissed. Somebody keeps stealing my damn packages. Otherwise, the Greek myth that I'm inspired by, the idea of putting spiders in a box and letting them open it. There is this woman from ancient Greece named Chrysime, spelled kind of like chrysanthemum, but like Chrysime. And she was a priestess of Enodia, or of kind of like Hecate in a way. She was somebody who was very knowledgeable about poisonous herbs and plants, about traditional healing and all of the plants that grew on the island of Crete, where she's from. Crete is the island that's sort of like the southern part of the Peloponnesus of Greece, the Peloponnesus being like all of the group of islands that form the country of Greece. Crete is that long strip-like island that's on the southern border. There was society in Crete reaches back a really, really long time. It's one of the oldest organized societies that we know about. Them, the Mesopotamians, the Akkadians, all of that. Okay, anyway. So Chrysemé, she's living in the context of this time. She is a priestess. She knows about poisons and herbs and stuff. So there's a war happening at this time. I think it's just two groups of people that live on the island of Crete that are warring against each other, sort of over land or resources or something. So the leader of Chrysemé's civilization, her village, receives a message from the oracle saying that in order to succeed in this battle that they're having over resources or whatever, to be the victor, you need to be led by a woman. It will only be a woman's foresight that will lead you to victory. And if you let a man lead the battalion, then it will just inevitably lose. It's like forsaken by the gods. So, knowing this, the general or whatever calls up Chrysemé and orders her to come to his chamber or whatever, to this meeting about the war, because he takes the oracle's advice and goes, okay, the Pythia said that I need to have a woman be in charge of this battalion, so you are going to be my general for this war, this battle. And so Chrysemé accepts. She's like, okay, well, kind of weird, but whatever. Like, I do medicine and stuff, not necessarily warfare. But she agrees to be a strategist and to help. So they go out into these camps, because in ancient Greece, they did this traditional form of warfare where like there's this battlefield and you got the two armies or whatever, and they face each other in this traditional combat. So they're all in their camp and ready to go to war. And so Chrysemé's strategy, she uses the politics and psychology of the time to her advantage, because bulls or cows were both seen as sacred to the gods. I think specifically Zeus was really associated with like white bulls. And so she offered to do a sacrifice to the gods, which was normal to do to like win favor for your battle. So she orders a white bull to be like brought to the camp, and then they decorate it. They like paint on it. They paint these like mystical symbols on the bull. They feed it berries and everything. And then the clincher is, in addition to all of the normal preparations for the sacrificial bull, Chrysemé also uses these psychedelic herbs that cause people to go, what's written down in the actual like ancient text is that they were herbs that incite madness, or what we would think of today as psychedelics. So some sort of psilocybin heavy mushroom, or like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Peyote, something like that. She took this psychoactive substance and she fed a fuck ton of this psychoactive substance to the sacrificial bull, because she knew that when she released this bull on accident, quote unquote, the other side of the on the battlefield would be very excited to like kill their sacrificial bull and ruin their sacrifice. So she sort of planned on that. She betted on the blasphemous actions of the other side of the battlefield. So she drugs up this sacrificial bull, and then she pretends like, oh no, oh my God, it accidentally got loose. Oh no. So they cut the bull loose before it is, quote unquote, supposed to be sacrificed. And then they're all like, oh no. And then they send it off running towards the other side of the battlefield. So, thinking that they had just lost their sacrificial bull like on accident because they're dumbasses, the other side of the battle goes, ha ha ha, yeah, fuck you. And they grab that sacrificial bull, they kill it, and they begin to eat it, right? And they make a feast before that the battle that next day. They're going to go and feast all evening on their sacrificial bull, which is just a great sign for them, because like the gods must be angry at the other side. But little did they know that in about 1 hour, they would all start fucking tripping their balls off. So they've got these herbs that incite madness coursing through their blood. So every single warrior that's on the other side of the battlefield is just fucking out of their mind. So that's when Crisame, the priestess, orders all of her troops to go in the middle of the night while all these people are fucking tripping their balls off and slaughter them. She has them kill every single one and leave none of them alive. So that's why she's remembered in Greek history as sort of this formidable general, basically, because she drugged everybody on the other side of the battlefield using some sort of like backhanded little trick. I just think it's so clever. I think the idea of like, I know that these people will perform this sacrilegious action if I leave myself vulnerable or if I appear vulnerable in this way. And she took advantage of that reality, knowing that like they would try to ruin her sacrifice. And she goes, okay, well, let me put the psychedelics up in there. And that's just inspiring to me. I think people are so crafty and so wicked sometimes. Not that it's good to poison people. We shouldn't be doing that. But you know what? Maybe I will fill a box with spiders to show this person that thinks stealing packages, that's not okay. And I think that they deserve to open a box full of spiders and feel that consequence for their actions. So anyway, thank you for listening to my little story, Crisame. For anyone who doesn't know, I fantasize about being like in ancient Greece more than I should. I would love to be a priestess of Enodia Hecate on the island of Crete in like 5000 BC. I'd be real down for that. I think I'd be good at it. Other notable witches from that time period are Circe. She's the one who turns men into pigs, or Medea. Medea is the one who kills her brother and feeds it to I don't remember. She just like murders a bunch of people. She murders her children. That's what it is. Because she's like really mad. Anyway, there's all of these stories of witches from Greek mythology that are just like really wronged by society, and then they get pissed off and do something that's seen as like reprehensible. Like Circe is like assaulted or something like that by soldiers that she was trying to provide shelter to, and so she's like, you know what, fuck you, and she turns them all into pigs and kills them. Or different versions of the myth, she just like keeps them around. There's this book that I really enjoyed called Circe by Madeline Miller, and it was such a good read for anybody who was like really into Percy Jackson growing up, or just in general interested in Greek mythology. Yep. Well, I'm gonna leave it at that for my little personal update section. I've got packages being stolen and I'm considering doing evil things about it. The more you know. It's also almost Christmas time, so I don't know. I'll talk about that some other time. Who cares? Yay! Let's move on to the advice segment of this podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, y'all. Let us get into some advice. As always, let me preface that if you are interested in having a question answered, a quandary addressed, a comment publicized, you may submit these comments, quandaries, questions, and queries to the anonymous inbox that's linked in the description of this episode. You just click up on there and then send me something to give you advice about. Yeah, I'm happy to give you my unhinged advice. Also, as always, with the musical spotlights, you can send me an email or contact me with the phone number in the description, and we can coordinate about getting your music on this podcast. I have an awesome musical update spotlight that's coming at you after this segment, so stay tuned for that. For the first advice prompt, starting out, we have from an anonymous caller, help. I got blackout drunk at my Christmas work party. I'm not feeling well at the moment and have no appetite, so I stupidly drank way too much on an empty stomach. I have no clue what I was rambling on about to my colleagues, including my bosses, and I'm so scared that I have said something embarrassing. To top it all off, the alcohol caught up with me, which made me bang my head in the bathroom, and I was vomiting absolutely everywhere. I don't drink often at all and definitely got too carried away. How do I face my colleagues at work tomorrow? Damn, sounds like you were Messy, messy girl. Alcohol is such a hell of a drug. Oh my God. The one time that I've ever experienced that level of, or that lack of control, I guess, was a similar thing. I was at a Halloween party dressed as Hercules with like literally just a white bed sheet wrapped around me. And I drank sangria until I literally could not see straight and blacked out. Only time I've ever truly blacked out. I may have taken acid as well. That probably didn't help. And smoked weed and maybe took a muscle relaxer. Anyway, so don't do that. I learned a life lesson that mixing drugs will invariably cause your nervous system to freak out. So I blacked out and I was like banging my head on the toilet and throwing up everywhere. And now the people that were like around me during that, none of them talk to me anymore. Let me tell you, alcohol will help you embarrass the fuck out of yourself when you get all drunk and incapacitated. Because yeah, I was doing the exact same thing. So this comes to my advice. What do you do about it? Well, you can't control the way that people feel. You can't unembarrass yourself. It sounds like you did, honestly, act in sort of an embarrassing manner. If you were throwing up like all over at a work party, that's pretty mortifying. But the thing is, you're a human being. You literally can't take it back. So what you can do is just embrace the fact that you were kind of sloppy one time, right? Like you're a human being, you were having fun, you were excited to be there. Clearly you felt safe. So you were drinking and drinking and drinking and it just got out of hand. So just acknowledge the fact that you're a human being. We have slips of judgment like that. And I think that anybody would be willing to understand that. Now, if you walked around and called people like a bunch of slurs and said, oh, fuck you, fucking tweaker to your boss, like maybe there's going to be consequences for that. But from the sounds of things, it was mostly just like your control over yourself. So it's unlikely anybody's even going to say anything, but if you wanted to address it, I don't know if you have like a Microsoft Teams group chat, you could kind of in a lighthearted way just like send a message or something like, hey, yeah, sorry that I got a little more drunk than I intended last night. Or maybe you could do a gesture like bringing in some cookies to accompany this message and just sort of like, sorry I got so drunk at the Christmas work party. But you probably don't even need to do that. You could probably just swallow your pride and move on, really. Well, okay. Let's move on to another advice prompt. Ooh, okay. This next one is somewhat related, actually. This next prompt says, I don't really like hanging out with my friends anymore because they're never sober. For a while now, I've decided to stop smoking. For good. I never did it regularly or had a big problem, but I would do it often, with my friend group as a social thing. I stopped because I just didn't want to keep doing it. It's not for me, and I don't really like the feeling of being high. It makes me feel kind of down. I thought as I kept doing it, it would feel better, but not really. My body has a weird reaction to it, and smoking just makes me feel this out-of-body sensation for a few days after, and I always feel weird afterwards. Also, I could see it was affecting me on my progress and some stuff, so I decided I'd just be better off without it. I haven't been smoking for about 6 months. Okay. This was more of a statement than a question, but let me comment on this here. So if you've listened to even one episode of this podcast, you know I'm somebody who smokes weed pretty regularly. I like to smoke after work or in the evening time. It helps me to just go right the fuck to bed. When I lay down, my head hits the pillow and I'm like, and another one is I have distressing and realistic nightmares almost every single night. I don't know if it's just like I got PTSD from life or something, but I have really stressful dreams where I will wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because I think I'll have dreams where somebody's like trying to murder me and I like can't run away fast enough, so I have to like hide, but then like I know they're gonna find me, or like I have to like violently defend myself from an attacker. All of these like really unsafe and stressful dreams. So anyway, when I smoke weed, it just fucking nixes that. The part of your brain that has to do with long-term memory and memory storage, THC really fucks with that operation, and that's why it makes you so groggy, and why when somebody smokes weed every day for a long period of time, it indeed does affect their memory. It makes it worse. You'll forget things more quickly. You won't be able to retain information. But but it's sort of a trade-off. I mean, every medicine is just a substance, and marijuana is a medicine, but you can overdose on any medicine as well. And it sounds like you didn't even desire to start smoking weed in the first place. It's not doing anything positive for you, so don't do it. What I can do is affirm you. It sounds like you're checking in with yourself and you know what feels good. It's awesome that you are paying attention to how it makes your body feel when you smoke weed, because I don't think enough people do that. It definitely does. It severs your connection with your subconscious and with your inner self. And that can be used in a constructive way in small amounts, or it can, and it often is, used in a destructive way to just keep yourself at bay, to just bottle up your emotions, to make them smaller and quieter while you get high and just kind of dolt off. Now, I love to do that, but if you don't have to, then don't, because you will be sharper and quicker and probably happier if you don't inundate yourself with marijuana all the time. I work at a dispensary. I see it all day. People think that smoking weed every single morning helps them and makes their personality better, and it doesn't. I know that my lovely, sparkling personality comes from within me. It really is not a result of me smoking weed. Maybe it does make people more chill. I could see that, right? Because it literally slows your processing down. So it like kind of forces you to take things a little slower. So yeah, maybe that's the resultant thing, but it doesn't make anybody's personality better. It just makes you forgetful and maybe even annoying. And when you have to fucking leave every function, or you show up to every family reunion and every shift at work smelling like weed with glassy eyes, like, people know. So anyway, I say all of this to affirm you. Don't smoke weed if you don't want to, and you don't have to, okay? Because it costs money too. So find a different friend group. If they're going to be weird to you because that's all they like to do, it doesn't even need to be like a huge dramatic thing. It's just the reality. Like, if you have all these friends that don't like to partake in the same activities as you, then just naturally you're going to grow apart from those people, and you're going to gravitate towards people who do have the same ideas and values as you. It's not like you're better than them either, because there's nothing wrong with smoking weed, really. It's just not something that you want to spend your time doing. So you can find other people who don't like to do that, or in a more positive note, other people who like to do other activities that you enjoy. Like, if you're really into chess, then you should go join a chess club and not try to be upset at all your stoner friends that they don't want to play chess with you, and instead they're into smoking weed. So yeah, this sounds like one of those situations where you just sort of outgrow and overcome and you move on, you know? And it'll be easier to do because you're not smoking weed. I really wish, my mom was a big stoner, and I think that's a big reason that I feel so secure when I smoke weed. It's something I watched somebody do when I was younger, and it was something she claimed she needed to placate her emotions or to feel calm or grounded. My mom always needed to smoke weed before doing anything, really. She was one of those people. She's not dead. I just don't talk to her. But yeah, I think that I kind of grew up and I remembered that in a way, and I repeat that little rhythm. I'm like, you know what? I know that if I'm pissed off, I can smoke some weed and it'll help me calm down. And while it's not true, boy, do we learn those behaviors from the people that are our caretakers and that we're surrounded by, especially when we're young like that. At least I didn't fucking grow up Catholic, I'll take the smoking weed hippy dippy mom over the forced me to get baptized and be an altar boy kind of Idaho mom, because I had a lot of friends with parents like that, and let me tell you, I'm a little better off than some of those people. Well, I think I'm going to cap it off at those two responses. Those two prompts were some heavy ones, and I think that we got into my personal journey a little bit. So let us move on to our musical spotlight. Thank you to the two folks who submitted their advice prompts for this week. Let me re-up and say once more, if you want some advice or a question answered or anything like that, go ahead and submit to that anonymous inbox, or you can be brave and send me an email. Sometimes people do that. Let's do some musical spotlighting. I have got an absolute treat for you for this week's musical spotlight. Funny enough, it is actually one of my professors who is a quarter of this band called Little Hexes. I was astounded when one day I just happened to ask my professor. I knew them at the time as Anne-Marie or Professor Trimble. I said, "Oh, hey, do you play any instruments or are you a musician?" And very, humbly, she was like, "Oh, yeah, I actually have this little band. We're called Little Hexes." And I noticed this kind of spark in her eye when she started describing the type of music they write. She let me know that they do a lot of historical references, a lot of witchy mythological themes in their songwriting. So the name Little Hexes is somewhat referential to that. Their iconography, their collection of songs includes Marie Curie and her unfortunate love affair with radium. You've got the song that I chose for you called The Predestination of Sarah Good. Sarah Good was the first woman who was burnt at the Salem witch trials. Or hanged, maybe. I'm not even sure. But all of these really, really niche historical references that are sort of mischievous and a little cheeky. That's how I would describe it. There are all of these statements being made using these historical references. They have their most recent album that came out just a couple years ago called The Deep End. And that's where this song comes from. Before that, they had an EP called In the Garden. And then they have this collection of songs that's like a book of spells, basically. And I thought this was really cool. They had an artist create these different little hex signs, which hex signs are something, it comes from German culture. It's a form of German folk magic where people would have these little sigils. Basically, they look almost patchwork in design, and they each have a unique meaning or an intention behind them. So this idea is used as sort of the medium for each cover for each song, and it's just really, really cool. They have a website called littlehexes.com where they even have a bunch of merch, and I was just enamored with this rich sort of referential library that they have. Basically, these people are writing songs that absolutely speak to me. It's very feminist, it's very referential to literature, and it, like I said, mischievous, cheeky music. Their sound has this great variation between each title, actually. I think Anne-Marie is the one who does a lot of the lead vocals, and then the songwriting just sort of takes shape after the lyrics, it seems to me, because there's a really great element of storytelling to each song. Each one sort of sets a different narrative, and the music just sort of matches up. This one, The Predestination of Sarah Good from In the Deep End, this one is a very synthy, almost goth, new wave kind of feel to it. There's a lot of synthy, sine wave type sounds going on. And the lyricism is very kind of sassy and dark. So a little context about the song. Sarah Good, being the first woman who was wrongly executed at the Salem witch trials, she was homely. She was a single woman that owned property. And it was kind of known that nobody liked her. And so the witch trials, it was just a way for people who didn't like her to just basically put her to death because she was not the type of woman that people liked, right? She wasn't just this fair, young, submissive woman. So she got labeled a witch and she was killed. And that is the point of this song. There's this really momentous chorus that kind of happens where they say, "You are not what you think you are what we think you are." And so listen for that halfway through the song. It's very powerful. Let me give a little credit really quick before I get too crazy. The 4 members of this band, we've got my point of contact, Anne-Marie Trimble. Amy Spreadborough is the guitar bass player. Karami Missig is going to be also on vocals, bass, guitar. And then Jennifer Topping is the sort of sole percussionist there. They all have a variety of roles in the band, like I said, but these are sort of the roles as it appears to me. I asked Dr. Trimble if each of the band members, if any of them identify as witches, and she said no, not necessarily, but they take a lot of references from this idea of little hexes, of folk magic and intention and meaning, and how that wraps itself into songwriting, how songs are almost like spells that we can reach for to make us feel a certain way or to make a statement, which makes sense with her background in academia and literature. So let me just show you the damn song before we get too crazy. Clearly, I'm a big fan. So let us get into The Predestination of Sarah Good by Little Hexes from the album The Deep End.
Father had money, but any good it does me. They call me good wife, while husbands have hastened my fall. When God favors money, there's no mercy under the law. I use my mean mouth against the spectral evidence. What do you do when you hate the idea you were born in? What do you do when you hate the idea you were born in? Predestine your church pew, predestine your slaves, predestine witching your wife, predestine your 401k. I'm a beggar, a nuisance, I sleep in the park. Well, you forge the iron to fence off the yard. What do you do when you hate the idea you were born in? What do you do when you hate the idea
Y'all, so can you see why I was taken aback when Anne Marie shared this album with me? It fucks. Boom, 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 boom. Just such a good instrumentation for like the message that they're sending. Such a cool reference to pick that I think really connects with people, because people seem to be very fascinated by the Salem witch trials for all that it represents. Not only the enigmatic history of witches, what a witch is, what we think witches are, but also the psychology of fear and of group mentality, of how we hate women. All of these things are hit by this song. The anger in Anne Marie's voice when she's saying these things, it's really, really pretty amazing. I know that if you wanted to catch a live show, Little Hexes does play around the Pacific Northwest, the Portland area. They just had a show at the Alberta Street Pub, so go ahead and check out their website, littlehexes.com, and you can see their touring schedule. Fuck yeah, good job, y'all. I'm really a fan. So I'm going to try to catch the next show that I'm able to. You can purchase their album on Bandcamp as well, The Deep End, like I did, and enjoy all of the other lovely track titles. As always, I will have the link to the Predestination of Sarah Good pasted in the description of this episode, and you can check out the rest from there. So, yeah. Don't forget to ask people about their art. That's my learned lesson from this one. I would have never known about this amazing, or maybe not. Maybe it just would have taken me longer. But who knew that my professor was like also this amazing musician? So yeah, you never know what people are hiding in their little broom closet. Have a good rest of your week. I'll see you next Sunday. Mwah.